Hey, you guys. Okay, do you remember the Roman Empire trend from last year? Well, if you had not heard of it, it's really funny. It basically blew up the internet because women all across the country would ask the men in their lives how much they think about the Roman Empire on the regular, right? On a regular basis, how often they think about it. And I don't know about you, but I haven't thought about it since like the 9th grade. And it's always fascinating when, again, you bring back years, hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, up into today, and what a lot of women in their life found is that their men would think about it like 2 times a day or something. So it became this really funny trend. But again, going back to like the ancient times in life, there were things that they did that were a little cray-cray, and some things they did that were like, you know what? That's actually ancient wisdom. Like that is something that we can use even today. So we're going to look at 5 wealth building strategies that were popular in ancient times and specifically in ancient Babylon. Yes, stay with me because I'm going to go through this list and share my honest opinions about whether these financial habits are still good today. And stick around because at the end, I'm going to share my number 1 ancient money habit that didn't make the list. All right, the first wealth building habits from ancient Babylon is to fatten your purse by saving at least 10% of your income. It's a kind of a weird way to say it, but it was the idea, again, that you want to make saving a priority, and I agree with that. In fact, I believe that it's really the first step you should do when it comes to taking control of your money. Even before you pay off debt or invest in retirement, saving should be your number 1. But instead of a percentage, I would also just recommend shooting for a dollar amount. So $1,000 emergency fund is where I would start. And again, that's not supposed to be your long-term savings plan, but it's a buffer that will get you through most emergencies while you're paying off debt. And then once you're out of debt, everything but the mortgage, then you can bump up that starter emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of expenses. Then if you want to set aside 10% for savings as a goal, then go for it. And hopefully as your income increases, so will your ability to save more and more. But saving can only go so far, so let's see what ancient habit number 2 has to say. The second ancient Babylonian habit is make thy gold multiply. I love this one. Sounds great. Sure, let my gold multiply. AKA invest your money. And I'm on board with this piece of advice too. But I think some other fundamental things need to be in place first. Again, get that emergency fund of $1,000, pay off all of your debt, and then have a 3 to 6 month of emergency fund set aside. Then once you've done all of those things, then start saving for retirement. You want to invest 15% of your income into retirement. So these will be things like your 401k or a Roth IRA. But again, looking into retirement investing is huge. But retirement isn't the only way to invest, which brings me to the ancient money lesson number 3. Make thy dwelling a profitable investment. In 2024, we call this investing in real estate. So I agree, investing in a home is a solid next step. But this also can be something that you do simultaneously while investing in retirement. So both of these investment strategies are a great way to build your net worth, a great way to get yourself in a position where you're building wealth. So again, investing in retirement, and if you have a house, you're paying it down, any extra money you have to be able to pay down your mortgage. Now, there are a few things that I do not recommend investing in, things like cryptocurrency, really fancy cars that you get a car payment for, designer clothes and shoes. Again, the idea that these are not investments, these are just purchases. And if you do them with cash. But also when you think, okay, I could be just buying a bunch of crap, or I could let compound interest work. And it's an amazing thing when your home's value grows or compound interest in the market and it grows. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But having a ton of wealth means nothing if you ignore the next money habits. So the 4th ancient wealth building habit is to make thy chronicle a record of wealth. So to me, it's basically a fancy way of saying track your spending. So if you have been following me any amount of time, you know I agree with this because doing a budget is so key. No matter what stage of life you're in when it comes to wealth building, this is one of the things that you can do is to do a budget, but then intentionally track your expenses. But if you become a pro at creating margin in your spending, that progress ultimately has nowhere to go unless you build the 5th wealth building habits. But before we do that, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. We are all looking for ways to trim our budgets. So check out Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a cost-sharing ministry, and they've helped hundreds of thousands of families across the country satisfy nearly $10 billion in healthcare costs without sacrificing freedom. You can join CHM at any time, which means any time is a good time to make the switch. Find out how you can save on healthcare costs at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. Now, the fifth ancient wealth building habit says to ensure a future for thy family. And that means leaving a financial legacy for generations to come. And I also agree with this. In Proverbs, in the Bible, it says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And by the way, I covered this exact topic earlier this week. So I'll put a link down below so you can hear all my thoughts about what celebrities are planning to leave their children and all the things. But I think this is such a beautiful financial goal that requires intentionality and it requires balance. So again, we want our kids, me and my husband, we want our kids to develop a life where they are content, they understand what hard work means, but overall setting them up for success by passing on a legacy of stability and generosity is a great motivation for building wealth. All of these ancient wealth-building habits are great, but in my opinion, there's one that ancient Babylon completely overlooked. And my number one ancient money habit comes from scripture, and that's to practice generosity. So I know it might sound cheesy or even impractical to some people, but as I learn about building wealth and as I start to see what my money can do to impact not just my family, but also others, it is huge, you guys. Now, obviously, there's some order here. If you have debts or you don't have savings yet, or you're trying to pay rent, all of that, I get it. There's some stress points. But if you can give a little until you can give a lot, that starts to change your heart and starts to change your habits. And it's really transformative. And it definitely puts you in a beautiful place, a beautiful posture towards wealth building when you are a generous person. And again, it puts money in its rightful place by creating a healthy separation that it's not your complete identity. That is one of the true keys of building wealth. So to start implementing some of these ancient wealth building habits, go to everydollar.com and start your first budget. It is so helpful to track your spending and your progress in real time, you guys. So I don't know, the Romans, the Babylonians, there's some stuff we can learn, some helpful things here. So again, it's amazing watching hundreds, thousands of years ago. We're like, okay, there's some things there that we can still remember and take today, because right now, for you and your family, it's all about taking control of your money and creating a life you love.